It's like trying to win a car race.
Should be a good one.
And as you're driving, saying, hey, make it run better.
You could have a posse of waifus.
Starting off kind of strangely.
Slaying the land.
Welcome to the show.
This is insanity.
Taking a critical look at the gaming news of the week.
This info is pretty shocking.
Somebody's got to give an answer to this.
This is Augmented Reality.
You are watching my favorite channel.
I've not heard of them.
The Triple S League. Enjoy, guys.
Welcome to the Augmented Reality Podcast, your source for news, leaks, and analysis of games in the gaming industry for April 27th, 2021. Almost a third of the way through the year. How does that make you feel? It still feels like 2020 is just ending. We are carrying the baggage. But here we are, a third of the way through 2021. Hope your year's going well, everybody. Coming at you live on YouTube and Twitch, and archived almost anywhere you can find podcasts. This is Ash here with you, along with Subsidian and Moontag. As always, we are known as the Triple S League. Welcome everybody who's watching live. And Saib and Moon, how are you doing? How's it been going?
I have been abandoned by the cat.
Well, at least the cat's not being noisy anymore. The cat,
yes, no, she was very mad.
Yes, the cat was making very, very odd noises a moment ago. So...
No, she was angry because I made a comment about her butt because she was sitting on my lap, but then her butt started to slide from the heft, and I tried to shuffle her back, and she did not like that.
But it was the comment that made her angry. It was you saying English words that a cat can't comprehend, but that made the cat angry. Okay, gotcha.
That's what they want you to think.
Mm-hmm. They also want you to think that they're your friends. And that they won't murder you in your sleep some upcoming night.
No, it's just, kind of like sleeps on my chest slowly.
Excuse me.
Until I snooze. Yes.
Until you fall asleep and are no longer paying attention to them. And then they walk on your face. These are all reasons why I'm a dog person. Anyway. Do the thing. Express your undying love for the like button, everybody.
Yes. Smash that like button, everyone. Tells the algorithm and us that you appreciate this content. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button for more content like this. And join our Discord for more fun and fun company, such as our various gaming channels. Sometimes there's people streaming. And other fun channels like the Animal one, or the Books one, or the Anime one. Like, so many things you could talk about and connect with people over. Like, even just yesterday, what was it? Ash, you were streaming for a while.
I was streaming live on the main channel. I was... So that's something we're going to be talking about. Look for more live streams on the main channel. I hope we're not confusing everybody with, starting this new podcast channel and then going back with live streams on the main channel. Yes, we're confused as well. Just trying to find the best way to engage the community and make this, continue to just put out fun content. And everyone really seemed to enjoy the stream I did yesterday, streaming it's called Portal Reloaded. It's a Portal. It's practically a new Portal game. It's so well made, but it's actually a Portal 2 mod that was put together. I found out later by just one guy. Usually there's a team of people working on these things, but somebody put together this vast Portal mod that it has 25 test chambers, full of voice acting, all kinds of great atmosphere, all kinds of stuff. And it came out right around the 10th anniversary of Portal 2. So we may not have Portal 3, but there are actually, if you own Portal 2, there's some fantastic game-sized mods that you can download for absolutely for free, because people can't sell them. They just make them for the love of making them, that are really, really good. And Steam distributes them. And I said on the live stream yesterday, kudos to Valve. I mean, they may not be able to count to 3, but they're really good about supporting user-made content for their games. So that's really excellent. So yeah, you don't even have to go to an external site to get them. You can get these things right through Steam. So it's fantastic. If you're a fan of Portal, I strongly recommend checking out Portal Reloaded. It adds a new mechanic to the game that's very interesting. Kisuke says, cats can actually...
I totally didn't say a joke with my microphone off and completely forget that my microphone was off. So yeah.
Kisuke says cats can actually understand humans. They just don't care what we say. Exactly. Exactly. All right. We're going to talk about Starfield today. There's some Starfield news. We're also going to talk about... what's the other thing? What else are we talking about? Oh, yeah. Knights of the Old Republic remake. Apparently, actually, for sure happening. Maybe, kind of, sort of. And we'll talk about how The Last of Us 2 is so great that there's not going to be any
So
DLC
great.
for it.
Oh, it's so great. And it's just so great. You know,
Why is that appearing on the screen? Oh, that's not supposed to happen. Yeah. So, anyway, Starfield. We're going to start with Starfield news because this, I think this will be of interest to a lot of. Now, I know a lot of you have a love-hate relationship with Bethesda, and so we respect that. We do as well. I just want to make that clear. But if they pull off something great with Starfield, with this new leadership at Bethesda, with the it's kind of out with the old as far as some of the bad corporate micromanaging of ZeniMax, and now they're under new leadership with Microsoft, and this is a passion project of Todd Howard's and of other people at the studio that is apparently, if the rumors are correct, the game's finished and is in bug squashing mode right now, but they're waiting till it's really, really polished to announce it, or really, really like almost ready to go. And if they pull off something really good, I mean, this could be a new renaissance for Bethesda, or it could be a complete and total disaster. And you know what? I don't care how good it looks. We're not going to recommend anyone go out and pre-order it or anything like that. But there's, I think, some hope that they could pull something really good off with this game. And we've talked about it many times. I don't know how deep we want to get into that, but we definitely want to get into some of the current news surrounding it. Sunglare says, I'm really looking forward to Starfield. RPG in space sounds awesome. Yeah, well, when I mentioned, again, we talked about this a lot yesterday during my Portal Reloaded live stream, and somebody mentioned, I think, was it Niv? Anyway, I was like, if Bethesda can make a really good RPG, and someone was like, Bethesda, make a good RPG, don't make me laugh. So, there's varying opinions about the quality of Bethesda's RPGs. But anyway, Skyrim is a very much loved game. And Fallout is a much loved franchise, despite the problems that Bethesda. It's weird. Like, everyone will complain about the bugs and the problems, and yet everyone just still plays these games. So, go figure. I don't know. They must have something going for them. Do you believe Starfield will have a VR version? Asks Zoe. I imagine, they've brought their previous games into VR, so I would imagine at some point, if not at launch, I imagine at some point it will. Let's see. Kisuke says, wait, what are we even talking about? The Last of Us doesn't have a sequel. Yes. I saw someone posted a great meme to that effect. Interestingly, that's how I feel about Die Hard 5. The series ended with Die Hard 4. Anyway, we'll talk about that more when we get to that topic.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
So anyway, Starfield. So what's the current news?
So the current news, and like I have to say that I agree. I don't necessarily agree. I don't know. Die Hard is one of those. The last one was kind of one of those ones where it was like, you could maybe say that they were trying a little too hard, right? Like, maybe that was their problem.
Perhaps. I don't know. It just became this It became this weird spy thriller kind of garbage. Why are we talking about Die Hard?
Well, you brought it up, and I wanted to do a joke, but I can't find the name of the bloody actress, so yeah, we'll just leave it at that. It was going to be a really, really funny joke about the, look, I really like the Die Hard, the main dude, and I thought his daughter was really cool, especially considering that she can rollerblade through people's heads. So yeah, and it was going to be really funny if I managed to do it smoothly, but I didn't manage to get it out smoothly, so we're just going to forget that I mentioned it.
Can we talk about Starfield now?
Starfield looks like we're getting something Starfield related this year, and that does appear to be a pretty much a guarantee at this point in time. And why is it a guarantee? Why is it going on? What's the reason for it, et cetera, et cetera? All the questions that somebody might have. And it basically boils down to that we are not ZeniMax anymore. They're not ZeniMax anymore. The what is sort of still the ZeniMax wing of the Bethesda type company, which is the corporate like dealing and wheeling dealing thingies. That's now all over in the Microsoft area, but it was part of the Bethesda studios with the old ZeniMax filing system that basically filed up a piece of paper that you only file typically when you're acting on this, that says, hey, we're trademarking the Starfield thing to be used in release this year. And it's one of those things that, again, if you know what you're looking for, and if you know what it is, basically this is a confirmation that they are going to be doing something with it this year. So the discussion that we had on yesterday was, well, what exactly is it? Is this going to be a big thing that we're seeing? We're going to see. Are we going to see the full release this year? Is that what we're seeing? Is that the big thing that's going to happen? And the answer to that is maybe, not necessarily 100% guaranteed, because again, they are saying that they're doing something with marketing and releasing products related to the Starfield brand this year. This is a new IP. It's something that people are completely unfamiliar with. It's not like a Fallout where you're going to drop Fallout 4 1 month in a big news conference and then 2 months later release the game. It's going to be harder to pull that off. Not impossible. We've seen a lot of success with like new IPs recently, but they're going to have to put a little bit more effort into things, And so that's where this whole thing comes from, of basically saying, well, hold on here, what exactly is going on here? What exactly are we building out here? And so with that in mind, you look at it and you say, all right, so they can be, because it's a new IP, because they're kind of wanting to attach this in a new direction, I think we can safely say that there's a good chance that they are going to release some storified content, or maybe a companion game like the app with Fallout 4 before we actually get the game. Again, not a guarantee. This is just all things that are basically just possible right now, right? Because we're dealing with a situation where we don't know 100% what's going on with these choices and with what's going with what they're working towards. But with this, we can idealistically say that there's a good chance that we might be getting something that is designed for, we're going to be getting a piece of content that is designed to introduce us to this world. That is one very good option. Will they just drop the game? Also a very good option, and a little not surprising there, because this is something that Microsoft. This is probably why Microsoft was so interested in buying them out this year, and why things just kind of like came together for them to be able to buy out the company this year. Starting the process last year and then finishing it up this year. It's like they want and they need Microsoft now want and need a big release for their platforms right away. They really, really want something big and splashy. This, if it's as good as Fallout 4, if it's as good as Skyrim, just without the bugs, and immediately opens the door to really cool mods. This is a a barnstormer. Is that the am I using the right terminology there? This is like
I don't know.
Huge deal.
I mean, yes, I agree. If it now it has to be a solid base game. I think it can't be another Skyrim where it's the modders will fix it, because it's for one thing, because a lot of people play on consoles where that is a lot more difficult, if not impossible. But also, Bethesda's got to go above and beyond to fix their reputation at this point. And Skyrim. I mean, you keep saying you love Skyrim. You play it all the time. You keep saying it's not worth playing without mods. Mm-hmm. And after playing it a bit myself, I played it quite a bit a few years ago. I agreed. Like, I played the base game. It was decent. Started adding mods to it. It got amazing. They can't do that again. They can't bank on that, in my opinion.
Right.
So I think they should. I do want to see mods for the game, but we can't bank on that. Like, it's got to be a solid game without mods. And it's got to be a top-tier new IP and story. Wooly Ram says, as if anyone trusts Bethesda to write a decent new IP. I mean, here's the thing with that. The problems with Fallout 76 were not, in my opinion, they were not at the IP level. They were not at the point, they were not at the level of, it wasn't a problem with the IP. Right, there were some lore discrepancies. There was clearly some cases where they contradicted their own lore, but the Fallout IP, well, they didn't create that. But you look at the Elder Scrolls IP is an excellent IP, and it's true they haven't created a new IP in-house in a while. There's been some good ones that have come out of some of their sister studios. I would say that if you kind of break it down to what the issues were with some of the more recent games, I don't think it was IP creation that was the problem. That's my personal opinion. I mean, feel free to disagree. Skyrim is not a standard anymore. It's been 10 years. It's not a standard, but no, I mean, it's a game that everyone is like still so many people playing it. It's like The Witcher 3. It kind of has set a bar in its time. The Witcher 3 set a bar in its time, and there's still tons and tons of people playing those games now, and will be for many years to come. I mean, I think that the one thing that'll make Skyrim fizzle out is an Elder Scrolls 6, if it's good.
Well, I mean, even then, it's gonna be a while, because Skyrim's been out for a really long time now, and people are still modding for the old games. I mean, one of the biggest mods one of the biggest and best mods, period, came out just like about a year and a half ago for Fallout New Vegas. And that was a massive project being worked on for years by a team of people, mostly just one person, but this big team like working on this project for so long, and they just put that out, and it was marvelous. Like, at the time when it came out, it was absolutely genius. But yeah, it's obvious, it's obvious that there is problems, right? I mean, let's be honest, there's problems and potential issues all the time with trying to, like, look at something from now, or that released like 10 years ago, and then comparing it to something now. And companies do really, really bad when they do this, and they just trust or believe that their reputation will carry them, and that's not a good thing. I mean, look at what happened with Cyberpunk, right? So, and then the recent news that came out on that, like, good lord, it's really annoying. But they're also not bad. Like, I mean, for what they are, and for the communities that are behind them, they support them for a very, very long time. So I don't even think that Skyrim's going to end when the next Elder Scrolls comes out. It'll probably just back up to where Oblivion is right now, because people are still making mods for Oblivion, like, constantly.
Sure, but I think the only thing that would cause there's a lot of people that would move on from Skyrim to the Elder Scrolls 6 is what I'm saying. I'm not saying, like, Skyrim's not going to, I'm sure 10 years from now, people will still be playing Skyrim. I mean, hell, you can go back and play Daggerfall. It's still a really good game. Very old and very, you start to feel its age, but, it's a pretty solid game. But you'll probably run it on your phone. In fact, I guarantee you could run it on your phone if there was a version available for it. They keep putting Skyrim on everything. Why not put Daggerfall on something? I don't know.
Zoe Moonlight says, when I think of a good RPG game, I'm not thinking The Witcher. I think Skyrim is like traveling to a different world, as is Fallout. If I had to choose between, it's always Skyrim. You know
what I find interesting is, like, people have a wide variety of different ideas about what a good RPG is. And so what I'm starting to realize is that there's a lot of disagreement about what actually a good RPG is. And so, I try to avoid the argument about, what is such a game a good RPG? I mean, because everyone has a different opinion about that. But I mean, that's very fair. Like, you think Skyrim is a good RPG. I've heard people say, no, Skyrim's a terrible RPG and that Witcher is better, or that, such and such other game is better. By the way, and Terror K says, my issue is that Bethesda already screwed up Fallout with 4 before 76 came out. I'm curious, like, just tell me, like, I don't want to assume, Terror, if you wouldn't mind just sort of briefly summarizing, where you see the problems with Fallout 4, and then I can address that comment a little better, or we can. But Willie Ram also says, lack of respect for lore means your new IP will be a hollow shell. I mean...
Oh, you're not wrong.
I disagree, but I can't say you're wrong. I mean, we'll have to see. Honestly, we'll have to see. Like, I don't think it necessarily means that. But if you're concerned about it because of the quality of their recent storytelling, I mean, that's a valid concern, right? That's a valid concern. So no, I'm not gonna. Yeah. I don't think it necessarily follows, but I mean, fair enough. I mean, it could be. That's not a crazy statement by any stretch either. Let's see. Lots of opinions about this. Thank you for all of the messages in the live chat. Good as Skyrim or Fallout 4 is not a benchmark to reach. No, exactly. It needs to be better. It needs to be top notch. It needs to be a top of the line game.
Better. It has got to be better than what they have been offering. What they've been offering, like what they had offered, they need to push that boundary with every game. If they don't, then they're stagnating. But I think what we're going to see with Starfield is something that's going to be worth a look. I mean, it's always. I mean, every game is worth a look. Like that's the whole purpose of games is to give them a try and see what you can. See if it's entertainable, see if it's good, see if it's something that you want to sink some time into. Those are all important, foundational issues of being a gamer, and being a game developer. Is you want to be building and creating and doing things that is new and isn't what you did last time, right?
Right. Lots of opinions about RPGs too. This is fantastic. So Sword Sister says there's 2 types of RPGs in the end. The type where you pick the role, or the type you pick the role. The type where you pick the role, and the type where the game designer picks for you. Yeah. So you have your Witcher or like Kingdom Come Deliverance scenario where you play a preset character versus Skyrim or I don't know, Outer Worlds, like one where you make your own character. I don't know why those are the ones that came to mind, but like Baldur's Gate or any of those games. So yes, it's true. Yeah. So if character creation is important to you, then certain types of games might feel like less of an RPG. Now I think, in my mind, there are two types of RPGs, like Sword Sister says, and so one is not better than the other. It comes down to personal preference. I have played many of both types and enjoyed them thoroughly. Right, I'm continuing to play through Kingdom Come Deliverance. You're a preset character, and there's actually a lot of it's a very linear storyline in terms of, you don't have a ton of choice in branching the storyline. Yeah, in some cases you feel railroaded into things maybe you didn't intend. Still, excellent amount of RPG diversity in terms of building and developing your character the way you want it to go, and a fantastic world to experience. Whereas, and I've done some reading online, and some people think it's a terrible RPG. Some people think it's the best RPG ever. And this is kind of where this comes from, is over the past few weeks, just hearing lots of different opinions about RPGs and coming to realize there's a lot of different thoughts on it. So, Kisuke says, generally I think of RPGs as a game that lets me play my character, so I don't really consider The Witcher an RPG. Fair enough. That's definitely one position on it. If you, let's see here. Zoe says, at the end of the day, we shouldn't even call RPG games RPGs, really. Role-playing is too wide. The immersive sim is an example of deeper categorization. If I understand you correctly, you would consider the term RPG to go beyond sort of the typical, what we think of as an RPG game, to being a broader category. And I think that's fair. Like there's games where you really feel like you're immersed in the role that aren't RPGs with the typical stats and choices and character customization, that kind of a thing.
What, you mean I'm not really a farmer?
Most games, 95% of video games involve some degree of role-playing. So, yeah, we're getting
into the weeds.
We're getting into, I think it's an interesting conversation. And I think, again, it's like, what's the right answer? I don't believe I just don't believe in gatekeeping. Being like, oh, you're not an RPG gamer because you play those games. Well, you know what? Shut up. I play what I like. Let's see. Not that anyone here is saying that or anything like that, but there are people who like to gatekeep their hobbies, and I think that's they have ego problems. All right, Terrak's thoughts on Fallout 4. Fallout 4 removed too many RPG elements and player choice. It cut out skills, oversimplified gameplay, and the voice protagonist cut down the dialogue choices and overall scope entirely very shallow. You make a fair point there. Now, did it turn it into a bad game, or was it less of an RPG than you and a lot of other people would have liked?
I thought I'm one who my stance and idea behind the voice protagonist thing is that I think it's totally fine. It is completely fine because there's mods out there that there were mods out there that removed the player voice line, and then there were other mods that introduced more dialogue options within weeks of the game being out, and I think that's fine. Like, especially considering that you could get a lot of those. Eventually, you could get a lot of those on the console, on the Xbox, and that I think that kind of a concept is like we have to allow them some room to create, deeper content, right? Like the developers are starving to, create something that has more depth to it, and people are demanding it. They're sitting there going, "Why don't you make a game that has depth?" And then they're like, "All right, we're giving you like more depth than we've ever given you." "Oh, I didn't like this kind of depth. I wanted the other kind of depth." And it's like, I mean, I'm sure somebody's pulling their hair out with that kind of a statement. And it's like, and again, I understand why. I understand why people want that there are some people who do want the voice protagonist, and some people who don't want the voice protagonist, and then other people who are insulted that there's even an idea that somebody would think that that's even a direction to go at all. And it's like I get all those arguments. I do.
Oh man, I remember we had many discussions about the voice protagonist thing back when Fallout 4 was more relevant. And yeah, it's again, it brings a different flavor to the game. When you can put your own voice in the character's lines, that offers one kind of immersion. But on the flip side, can break immersion if everyone else is talking and your character never actually says anything. I mean, again, these are kind of gameplay flavor things that I think at the end of the day come down to a matter of preference, and can both be enjoyable if they're done well. And I think that's the key is you take what you're doing, you're making a game with a certain scope. Are you doing that scope well, or are you trying to be too many things? Like if you try to be too many things, like all studios have a limit to their resources and people. You can't just say, okay, we're going to have all of the skills that have ever been invented for a game are going to be in our game, and all of the weapons that have ever existed, and all of, we're going to have a story that has 300 different endings based on your choices, so there's 20,000 different possible combinations of choices. Like, at the end of the day, you're going to have a game that takes 20 years to develop, and the computers you're building it on are going to be obsolete long before the game releases. Right?
And we've seen games do this exact same thing.
Yeah.
One of my most anticipated titles ever was basically annihilated by the creator just was never happy with his game, and he had his game ready to ship basically what was it, like 15, or it wasn't 15, it was like 7 years before it actually came out. And then it finally came out, and he had built technology that pushed this game in amazing directions, and then all of that stuff just went to waste because he was just constantly like, it's not perfect yet. It's got to be more perfect. I've got to get it more perfect. It has to be more perfect. And he just got stuck in this endless development hell that left him without by the time the game actually came out. And this was a big one. This was a lot of people's best in show, most anticipated title. And then 7 years later, it comes out. And it's like, wow, did you ever waste you wasted everything on this. Everything.
Yeah, there comes a point, yeah. So, and this is one area where I think Cyberpunk 2077 failed. It tried to be too much at the same time, and then ultimately did a whole bunch of things to a mediocre degree, and only a few things really well. Whereas, if you narrow your scope a little bit, I believe the best games are the ones that decide what they're going to be and they decide what they're going to be, what they're going to focus on, and do those things really well. Even if it's just a few things, but they do them and make them excellent. then you've got a solid game. And if you try to be everything, you're going to have a game that's mediocre. In general. This is just kind of a general rule, not a hard and fast law. But Tara says, the ironic thing is you had more freedom of choice, narrative diversity, and varied consequences for your actions with Geralt in the Witcher series than you did with V in Cyberpunk 2077. Even though in Cyberpunk, V was player-made, and in The Witcher, Geralt was a preset character. Absolutely, I agree. I would also argue that Fallout 4 had, though I agree with those of you who are saying it was shallow in a lot of areas, but there were many areas where, looking back, it was deeper than Cyberpunk, including your interaction with factions and the variety of endings you could arrive at. So, yes, a lot of different factors to consider there, but man, some great thoughts today. Let's see. I'm a little behind on the chat, so I'm just kind of scanning to see if we I don't want to miss any good ones. So, all right. Well, I think Willie Ram says, I think The Witcher 2 is a good example of how limiting the scope makes for a better game. Indeed, and I would point to games like Dishonored. I'd even point to, like, let's look at some indie games like Celeste or like Ghost Runner. Those games did not try to be more than what they were. They picked a thing and did it very well. You know, in Ghost Runner, it was go fast while running, just super fast, leap through the level and kill all the enemies. That's all the game is. It's literally all the game is. It's a runner. But it does that thing very well. And the story was pretty good too. So, you have that. And I think all games need a good story, right? And then Celeste also good story, but also just like we're gonna hone the platforming mechanics and the atmosphere and just make them spectacular. That's why these games are doing so well, or that's why I think that game did so well. There are thousands of indie platformers out there. Why did Celeste rise to the top? Because it honed those particular things. It just made them, it did them to a degree of excellence, and there you have it. So, yeah, all right. We should probably. Oh man, so many good comments today. I really love these discussions, and this is one of the reasons we're looking at changing up our podcast format to be more oriented and focused on community discussion, because these discussions are great. Unfortunately, due to time limitations, we got to move on right now. But basically, the bottom line with the Starfield news is that there is a copyright that's been filed, the type of copyright that is usually filed close to the game's launch, or, as Side points out, could be something Starfield related that's attached to the game.
It is a definite piece of marketing that is going to be implemented this year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's basically what we can say for sure. 100%.
But we do have a couple of industry insiders. Now, these are rumors, of course, so take it with a big grain of salt, but there are some industry insiders who believe or who have come out and said Starfield is coming out this year. The game is basically done and is in bug squashing mode right now. If that's true, again, this is no confirmation on this. These are rumors, but this lines up with the information you've been giving about Bethesda for a long time, or for a while now, Saib, that this very well may be the way they approach things, that they don't even announce the game until, it's been announced, but they don't give a reveal until the game's basically ready to launch, and that they're in bug squashing mode. Mm-hmm. And that now we've got this insider coming out saying this. So, there's no guarantees, obviously, but it's looking very possible that we could see Starfield this year. And if they decide to do a reveal and then, just a short window before the actual launch, similar to what they did with Fallout 4, I think that would be a great start toward Bethesda potentially redeeming themselves. Of course, it has to be a spectacular game, and hopefully it would be. I mean, much as I don't want to get my hopes up, I would love to see just a really, really good game out of Bethesda. So that's all I have to say about that. Any final thoughts, Moon or Saib?
No, I think we're going to be chewing on this sooner rather than later. That's my gut. I hope we hit it. I hope it's good. More than anything, I hope it's good, because right now we need something that's good.
We do,
and yeah,
we do.
Because it's been depressing. Like covering games over the last 2.5 years has been nothing but depressing. Once you kind of get everything out and looking at it, it's it's been really depressing.
If you focus only on AAA, yeah. If you focus only on AAA, and that's why I've been turning more and more to the smaller developers, whether they be, sort of AA ranging down to indie developers that are making really great stuff. And there are good games out there. There really are. I know it can be hard to, you look at this massive this massive selection of options on these gaming stores, and you think, well, how do I know which ones are good? I know it gets overwhelming and it's tough. And like I said, I have often said, I'd love to have the ultimate indie gaming review show where people come to find really good games that are made by smaller developers. That'd be kind of a dream of mine. I'd love to do that. But there are good games out there. Yes, AAA is depressing. We've had more news on EA this week. There was a report by the CBC, of all things, our crown broadcaster, our government-owned propaganda. Broadcasting station here in Canada. Anyway, some EA insider came to them and gave this report about, it really is part of EA's business model to drive people toward gambling mechanics, and they released some pages of a report. And then, of course, EA comes out a day later, or some short amount of time later. No, and we're denying all this. This is taken out of context. Yeah, sure it is. Sure it is. Yes, AAA, it can be depressing. You combine that with the world getting locked down in 2020. But you know what? Don't just look at what's bad. There are lots of great games out there, everybody. There's lots of great games. And we want to share them with you. That's why I played Portal Reloaded. If you're a Portal fan, go get Portal Reloaded. If you already own Portal 2, you can get it. It's free. And there's tons of great, again, game-sized Portal mods out there, and Portal 2 mods. Portal Stories Mel is another great one. So I don't know. There's good stuff out there, and that I had I'm making a full walkthrough of Portal Reloaded, and it's just blowing me away. It is the quality, it's minus some, the level design is of the quality that Portal 2 is. It's missing certain things that Portal 2 had, the variety of characters and voice acting and things like that's going on. But anyway, I'm saying all this just to try and help everybody stay positive, because we're gamers. Gaming is supposed to make us. It's our hobby. This is supposed to uplift us and be fun. It's not supposed to be depressing.
What was the name of the second AI that you dealt with? The dumb one.
Oh, I don't remember. But yeah. Oh man, so many great moments from Portal 2. When GLaDOS becomes a potato. Yeah, I know the guy. I think the one with the British accent. that is
like
hilarious.
His brilliant, death-defying challenges, his puzzles that required, whole seconds of thinking.
Whole seconds. Wheatley, that's it. Thank you, Tara K. Wheatley, thank you very much. Yes. I can picture the actor who plays him too, and yet I couldn't think of the character's name. Thank you also, Sword Sister. And Robin's here, right on. Okay,
Hey,
we should probably talk about some other stuff, hey? How about the KotOR remake?
Yeah, so KotOR is a thing. It is definitely a thing right now, and I am super excited. This is potentially really great, and also potentially absolutely horrifying. The amount of ruination they could do by making a bad version of that game. Oof. So basically, what they've come out and said now officially is that this is basically like think Final Fantasy VII Remake. So we've got it announced now. It'll be, we'll hear nothing about it for the next 15 years, and then it'll come out. I'm exaggerating, obviously, but yeah. I don't know why on earth anybody would be like, oh yeah, think of, that one game that was just delayed, and everybody just started memeing on it because it was delayed forever and it was just never coming out, and then when it did come out, it was kind of disappointing, and they cut it up into two things, and then they did a bunch of other things that a lot of people were really sad with. Yeah, we're doing exactly the same thing.
It does seem like a bad comparison, yeah.
Ouch, that's yeah. I mean, wow. That is a really bad idea, guys. Like who thought this up? Who thought this was a good idea? Why would you think saying it like that would be a good thing? But yeah, that's what they went with. So, hold your butt cheeks and pray, basically. That's all I got for you. It's
okay. So
that's not all I have.
What do you know for sure? So we know that Jason Schreier broke this news. It's been about a week now, or maybe a little more, that he broke the news that Aspire Media is developing.
Well,
KotOR.
no, I need to call him out right here. He was not the first person to figure that out. That was figured out by Maddie, I believe, first. A very small journalist who did a bunch of digging, found out about it, put it out there, created a couple of videos. Then 2 months later, they're like, and now announcing world premiere first. We're the first ones bringing you this information. And a lot of his users were really upset. And we have sort of a friendly relationship with Maddie. I mean, we worked together with him on Sugar Bombed, the site for Fallout stuff, a very long time ago. It was apparently so long ago that when we worked with him on a story again, he forgot that he knew us. And then proceeded to say that he didn't know, whether or not who these people were. That was really funny, because I had to remind him that, we only worked together for 3 years, dude. It's fine. It's fine. You worked on the same site the whole time, on the same, messaging service. It's fine. Yeah, totally. I get it.
To be fair, I forgot about Sugar Bombed.
Yeah.
You still see the card for it at the end of our old videos, and it makes me cringe now because it's gone, right? Does not exist anymore.
I think it's still there. Or the last time I checked on the site was still there, but it was not handled in the best way that I would think. I'm not hitting on anybody. I just think that it was a.
I hope you're not hitting on anybody. Idea. Your wife is right there.
Yeah. It was an idea that just wasn't implemented properly. And again, nobody's fault on that. It wasn't malicious. It was just people were really new, really young, and were working really hard to make things just click.
In any case, Schreier's not the first person to figure this out, but he did confirm it about a week ago, and then it would be, it was getting reported around now. Do we know anything since then?
I want to cap the story off on that. The reason why he didn't break it first, he may have known about it first because he did mention about it in an interview, going, "Oh yeah, this is being remade, and you'll never guess who it was." He said that. Now again, we don't know for sure whether he knew about it ahead of time, but it was very possible that he was under an NDA of some sort and told not to, or he was covering for somebody because they gave him the info. And he had to wait until other people started talking about it before he could start talking about it. So this is also very, very common in the world of leaks and stuff. Sometimes you discover something, you can't talk about it because you signed an NDA. But if Joe Schmo over there starts talking about it, then that's common. And for the record, I have never done that. But yeah, it's one of those scenarios where it's very possible that he knew and that he couldn't talk about it immediately, but he really, 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 really wanted to. So yeah, I find that kind of funny, to be honest.
All right, I was just looking up Sugar Bombed, and I found a weird article about it on fandom.com, but I don't have time to read that right now. So anyway, yeah, that's what we know, I guess. So if there's nothing more to say on that, let's talk about...
Fingers crossed that it's good. We don't know if it's good. We won't know if it's good for a while yet. So cross your fingers and hope that we don't get a big old piece of turd sandwich.
All right. Some interesting conversations in chat right now.
I was just reading that too.
Tara's wondering, wait, what happened to the super chat option? That's on our other channel. This channel here, Triple S Podcast, is not monetized currently and can't be until...
It's not big enough yet. But we're going to be moving the Saturday show back to the main channel, and it's going to be much more game focused. So we're going to have some cams up. We're going to have some game footage up. We're going to be experimenting with a bunch of things. It's going when we're talking about games, it falls under the primary, air quotes, falls on the primary tag of news first, then games. So it's news first, then games. That's how algorithms and stuff read it. Going forward, we're going to move that over to when we move back the Saturday showcase over there. We're really going to be focusing games first because we're going to be streaming games. We're going to be talking about games. We're going to be talking about some game news, but the way that we're going to be focusing it on games and game community first, that's going to make it so that the algorithm stops trying to switch it to a news thing, because we've been having a fight every time we post a news video. It moves us from a gaming channel to a news channel, and then when we post a gaming piece of information or a guide or something like that, moves us back to gaming and away from news, and then that's just been killing our analytics for a long time.
It's been a headache, but also we just want to improve the format for our community. Yeah. We've been talking to a lot of our most active Discord members and those that are Patreon supporters and that kind of a thing, and just asking what is it that you value about our content, and what can we do more of to make it even better. And so, yes, so there will be more live streams happening on the main channel, like I said. Thank you so much, Tara, for wanting to give the super chat. Really appreciate that. I know you got to take off, so thanks for joining us for the time you were able. But yes, it's been an adventure. It's been up and down all over the place, moving to this new channel and now talking about moving the Saturday podcast back. I hope we're not giving people whiplash with all of the changes we've been making. We are just trying to, again, after Cyberpunk content just flopped. And so, like, it's just was an abrupt end to Cyberpunk 2077 content being of any relevance, and that had been a large chunk of our focus. And so it's kind of time to do things differently now, and we're trying to find the best way to do that, because we don't want to just be different, we want to make it better if we're going to make it different. Jasmine says switch to Twitch. Well, we actually are live on Twitch right now.
That is one of the other reasons why we're on the new channel doing this right now. Like, this is because then we can also stream to Twitch. And that's one of the decisions that went into that.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, I was just because we could stream to Twitch and to the main channel too if we wanted to. But anyway, as far as let's wrap up a couple of the news topics here. Last of Us 2. Game of the Year, won so many awards, best game ever created. It's so good, in fact, that there's no DLC, and in fact, is Naughty Dog even working on anything other than a remake of Last of Us 1?
Nope. They canceled their DLC for Last of Us 2 to work on the remake for Last of Us 1, which, in case you were counting, was their previous game. So when you don't even have when you don't even have like an actual like extra product between your like they went from working on Last of Us 1 to Last of Us 2 to Last of Us 1 remake. Wow, guys. Wow.
And in the process becoming one of the least attractive studios that any developer would want to work for. Yeah, this whole thing it's like a bad joke. Last of Us 2 won so many awards, simultaneously rendering those awards meaningless because everybody knew it doesn't deserve them. I mean, this game did not deserve those awards. And, if you like Last of Us 2, I mean, not going to hate on anyone for liking the game, but the cultural debacle around all of this, it was...
Sorry, that's not me. That's totally the dog.
I would hope so.
Why would you think it was... Why would you think we would think it was you?
I don't know. Well, I've fallen asleep in the voice chat before. Not on the podcast, but on the voice chat, yes. So.
Oh, you thought we'd think that was you snoring? Yeah. Okay. No.
But no, the dog is sleeping very, very happily.
So, anyway, yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, the whole debacle between... I mean, and you're right, it was a massive joke of a debacle.
The point where you go and read the reviews that were trying to tell you what was good about the game, it was so painful. Like they would straight up say, this game was not fun to play. It was a tedious and harrowing experience. 9 out of 10.
I did not enjoy playing this game at all, but it was the game I needed to play.
Yeah,
I felt my soul open up and accept the wonderful truth that this was a masterpiece that I can't put into actual words, but it's there and it's glorious.
Yeah.
You're like, are you okay?
Are you okay? Have you thought through? Is your brain all right?
I mean, again, I want to ask some people, like, have you been out? Like, have you talked to people recently? Are you okay? Like, because it's sad. It's very sad to see so many people like try so hard, like so hard. Oh yes, it's a brilliant masterpiece. It's like, okay, masterpiece of what? Like, how? Describe for me how this masterpiece exists in your head, please. I'm curious. I'm really curious. I've got to know. Ugh.
Yeah.
I can't put it into words.
Oh, well,
It's
don't you
just a masterpiece.
Don't you understand though, Simon? This game was not meant to be enjoyed. It was meant to be. It was meant to shape your soul.
Yeah, there was a lot of that. Very, very smelly.
Reading the reviews. I did a video on it in the Vesper Persona, just about how ridiculous some of these reviews were. It was. So it's not getting any DLC. Big surprise. Big surprise.
Shocker.
Big surprise. I highly doubt anyone would buy DLC for this. Now, I mean, we don't know 100% for sure they were developing DLC, but I mean, it would follow that if the game was actually the best game ever created and was this uber success for the studio, that they would capitalize on that. I mean, The Last of Us 1 DLC really shaped a lot of Ellie's character. You know, that really it bridged. It served to bridge the two games. So, yeah, it's not like there isn't any precedent for releasing DLC. And I mean, if this is the story to end all stories in video games, why would you not expand on it? Anyway, whatever. It's apparently not happening, and I don't know what's going on at the studio. All right. What else did we have? I feel like there was more to talk about, but I had a surprisingly small number of tabs open when we started the podcast today. We talked about the EA thing a little bit.
Yeah, well, the EA thing. I mean, I don't think I put my 2 cents in for that. They basically have in this 54. It was 54 pages released of this internal memo, and it's like every action that the player does drives them back to the microtransactions, drives them back to opening more of the microtransactions. You hear this when you're at a conference learning how to make and how to how to make a casino that feeds off of people's habits, and you know that people are taking their government checks for either disability or the social thing where they can't work, or maybe they're on some other program or something like that, and they have it so that they can clear those checks there. They have basically a banking permit to clear government paychecks. Not paychecks for work, paychecks for people who don't work at the casino, and they know that person will blow that entire check, which is all of the money for their food and for their groceries and for their medication and all that stuff. They will blow that entire thing there at the casino. They know that, and they're designing the building to keep people there, including having, so it's really weird. And I don't know how they get away with this for Fire Code, but there's some casinos that I've been in where it's the exit is it takes you through this little loop-de corridor first, where all of these extra slot machines are. And so every time you're walking in or out of the building, you don't have a clear path to the exit. You have to walk around more of these machines for gambling.
Yeah, you ever been to Vegas? Man, finding your way out of a casino, you basically have to open
legitimately difficult.
Yeah, you have to open a portal to a parallel universe that then branches to the outside of the casino. That's the quickest way I've found to get out. Otherwise, yeah, you're walking around for hours and hours. Indeed, yeah. So, EA can claim as much as they want that this is taken out of context, but this is obviously what you're doing. It's plain as day for everybody to see now. I don't know
how they can get away with it too. It's I know how they're getting away with it. They're paying off people to They're paying off a lot of people to like keep them, to keep feeding them this stuff, and it's disgusting on so many levels. It's really disgusting. So yeah, no, big problem, huge problem, continues to be a problem, and yet for some odd reason, nobody's willing to look at them and say, "Hey, I've had enough of your BS. I've had enough of your crap.
Well,
You're not doing this to our community anymore."
People have been doing that though, and the thing is that like you can't stop people from buying their games if you want to buy their games. They're not forcing anybody to play their games, nor are they forcing anybody to buy microtransactions in the most technical sense. Like yes, not excusing their practices by any stretch, but they're not taking the 13-year-old kid and sticking the cigarette in his mouth and lighting it for them. They're just making it look like candy with appealing marketing and sexy women on the packaging. That's all. That's all. And putting the most addictive stuff in it possible. This is a metaphor, by the way. They're using every trick in the book to make it so that people spend as much. They're maximizing the amount of money that people are spending on these games. Like, obviously, that's their goal, to make as much money as possible from these games, and so, and the vast amount of their money, we know the numbers, comes through their microtransactions. So, really, if they're going to sit there and say, no, we're making this massive percentage of our income via method X, which is microtransactions, and yet they're not. If they're going to sit there and say, "Oh, we're not actually maximizing that. We're not actually trying to encourage people to spend on money on microtransactions," that's just absurd on the face of it. So, for them to sit down and say, "Oh, you're taking it out of context," yeah, sure, whatever. Let's see, some chatter in the live chat about Halo Infinite. I missed that.
Case says, I have not been really that interested in the Halo game since 3. Source Sister says, I'll be honest, I've forgotten that Halo Infinite was a thing even.
Oh yeah, just looking at a few messages above here. Zoe says, we could talk about how Halo Infinite isn't looking as promising as it was originally portrayed.
From what I understand, we talked about this when they kind of like brought it out and were showcasing it. The biggest thing that I did not understand, the thing that I was having the hardest time grasping, was that they knew, like, they brought that game out and they didn't showcase any of the actual I don't, like, new age tech isn't the right way to say it, but it's like the tech that was like promising to bring about this like huge change, this amazing technology that was behind the concept and all this stuff. Like, it was really great. It was really like shocking what they were saying that they were working on, and everybody was like really excited for that. But then when they showed the game, they didn't show any of that stuff. Like, they didn't show any of the cool things that they were working on. All of the things that were, going to be new and exciting and was going to be pushing the bounds of technology. And it's like none of the stuff that they were promising when it came to the AI systems, the world mapping systems. They didn't show any of that. Instead, they showed a grappling thing, and they showed really poor graphical choices. And you're sitting there going, guys, why? If you had the tech to show off, if you had the ability to show off the tech, why didn't you? Why didn't you? What went wrong with the tech? And then we're sitting here going, okay, well, I guess I guess the tech is broken. Like that's what you have to basically assume, is that the tech just isn't, it's not working out, and it's not going to work out in the way that they want to, and that's it. That's all she wrote. That's game, set, match. And it's like, okay. I don't understand why you guys didn't talk about this tech or showcase that. I don't know why they showed any of it when they knew that they didn't have it. It's like that's one of the other great mysteries, is like, you literally had nothing. Why were you even bothering to show this? Like, why? So dumb. So dumb.
It was a very bizarre choice, yeah. And I think that, well, I mean, when they saw the response to it and hit the brakes and said, okay, hold on. We done screwed up here, and then delayed it for a long time. It wasn't ready. Just wasn't ready. And that, maybe they were pushing for it to be, the Xbox Series X launch title, and maybe that's why. But it wasn't ready.
Yeah. I mean, it was really, really far from being ready in any way, shape, or form. Like, and again, it's kind of shocking. Really, it is, because you're sitting there and you're just looking at them and you're like, why did you do this? Like, and you gotta wonder, because typically what ends up happening at companies, and I watched this just recently again. I watched Steve Jobs talk about why companies fail and why they screw up to the point where they collapse. And one of the biggest reasons why they screw up and why they collapse and why they fail miserably, one of the primary reasons why is that at some point the marketing people take over. And the marketing people don't know how to innovate or how to create. And so they end up just driving the company into the ground. And they've done this over and over and over and over again. And he noted it, and he pointed it out. And it's funny because, that's been happening to Apple now in some respects, not all, but in some respects it's been happening at Apple. And it's like you these idiots running the show, it's like you were told that this was going to happen, and you refuse to make preparations to avoid it. It's like, what the hell are you doing? It's like, yeah. And you see that and you question your sanity, because you're like, Zoolander is like, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Like, literally, why is everybody insane? Why is everybody how did so many people turn into idiots overnight? And you're asking the question, and you got a bunch of people looking at you going, well, we thought this was the best thing to do. And it's like, why would you think this is the best thing to do? Like, what? Why, for even a moment, do you think that would be the best thing to do? It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Mm-hmm. Just checking out this article here from Game Rant while you were talking, and so Halo Infinite is now scheduled for a fall 2021 release. Multiple betas planned ahead of the release, and we might get a revised glimpse of it during E3.
Probably, yeah. I like I said, I would be very shocked if they didn't revise it pretty much completely. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, they've got to revise that from the ground up, basically.
Mm-hmm. But there's a few things I see working in their favor here with this. One is they actually listened to fan feedback. They took it and said, oh, okay, clearly we've got some room to grow here. And they, just like with when they redesigned the character for the Sonic movie, and that turned out to be very, the movie released to very positive reception that it would not have had otherwise. And so what happened with that? You watch the movie now, and it's like, oh man, this looks so much better than that first absolutely terrible design. That almost became a foil that makes the new version look so much better because you saw the crappy old version. So I wonder if it could have that kind of effect. If they come to E3 2021 and they just blow us away with what they show us, this game could be a rockin' success. And the early reveal might, ironically, actually help them. Like it might be a backdrop that makes the new version just look all that much better. And I'm not saying necessarily that that's a strategy that game studios should start adopting. Show us a crappy early version and then blow us away with what comes next. But I don't know, maybe? is that a marketing tool that could work? I'm not a great marketing mind, so I don't know. But they also, like, you think they mentioned Craig the Brute here, and Craig has entered the social consciousness as a meme. There's a picture of him. You see him in this picture here on the left. And now he's a meme. And so Halo Infinite is just in our collective consciousness now. And so there's a lot of for all of its problems and downsides, that early reveal really brought, like, that it was amazing marketing for Halo Infinite in the end. So we'll see. Zoe says, pretty sure they already do that. I mean, maybe? Like, I think intentional leaks are definitely a thing.
Oh, yeah.
But
intentional leaks are a big part of, like, advertising and building up, like, hype. They do. A lot of companies do it all the time.
Yeah. Now, do they intentionally show something that looks a little bit crappy so that it looks better when you see the polished product? I don't know. Maybe they do. Like they definitely do. Yeah. Well, there you go. So it's already working. Except in this case, it took the form of a public reveal ceremony on the grand stage. Why can't my words work right now? Does it have anything to do with how late it is? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It took the form of a public press conference that everybody mocked. But through that, I mean, again, yeah, Halo Infinite already exists in our brains, even though the game's, not out and won't be for a little while yet. Anyway, here's hoping it's good. As an old school Halo fan, I definitely have high hopes for it, I definitely want to see something good. I want an absolute epic Halo experience, and I'll be able to play it on PC this time. Yes. Instead of going to Saib's house to play on his Xbox. Not that wasn't fun, but, harder to get out to Saib's house these days. All right. I think that's probably it for us for tonight, unless there's any final thoughts from you two.
No, I think we're good at this point. Basically, It's like, yeah, we've got probably a busy summer as far as, like, news and game stuff goes, but it's going to be weird, right? Like you go back a year from today, and we were all excited for, some of the games that were coming out. We're excited for this. We're excited for that. Like, things were looking interesting. Things were getting weird. It's going to be even weirder this year. And it's going to be weird in the way of, like I really believe that we're going to have games that are going to come out that people are going to be like, wow, didn't expect to see this be, like, the number one on my list. This is, I don't know I don't know what to feel about this. It's like somebody's scratching their head going, I don't like, what am I supposed to do with this? I think this is good. This is good, right? Right? That kind of thing. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, it's going to be a interesting next couple of months. Oof.
But join the Triple S League Discord server. You can find the link in the description below to chat with us and a lot of other awesome folks about everything that does happen. We've been starting to do watch parties for all of the events, and we'll likely do that for, if we're not live restreaming or co-streaming the events like E3 or any of the big summer things, we will likely be watching them in the Discord server with all of you fine folks. So join us for that. And also just want to say, if you haven't slammed that like button yet, please do subscribe here on the podcast channel and over on the main channel to catch all of our content. And I want to extend a special thank you to all of our Patreon supporters, Twitch subscribers, and channel members over on the main channel. You see their names appearing in gold throughout the podcast. We really appreciate those folks, especially at this time. And also all of you who listen, who leave comments after the fact. If you're listening after the fact, please do comment. And if you're listening on one of the audio-only platforms, check out our YouTube channel. We have tons more content over there. You'll probably find something you enjoy, and you can listen to the podcasts live on YouTube. So, and it includes a visual component. Plus, we've always got new stuff planned. So, yeah, check it out. And that's it for us. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. On behalf of Saib and Moontag, my name is Ash for the Triple S League. Thank you so much for listening, and we will talk to you again very soon.